Hello, Americans. I'm Kent McNall. It's Constitution time. Today is Monday, November 2nd, 2020. It is the eve of the election. I should say it's the eve of Election Day. Tomorrow, the rest of America that hasn't voted yet will vote. In a way, it'll be a little bit of a day of rest for us for at least the first part of the day because the candidates are not allowed to campaign. And that will be, as my wife Ann said, a bit of a relief, a little bit of the pressure coming off of the situation. And we'll have a interesting evening to look forward to. But first, I just want to mention that had a much needed, I didn't say deserved, but needed break, and visited with cousins the neighboring state of Idaho, which is a very, very beautiful state. Fantastic natural beauty, wonderful people. We planned very, very carefully to stay away from those wonderful people because they happen to have a real surge of COVID there. But we were successful in that and planned carefully to have a nice place that we didn't need to visit a grocery store, etc. So we feel good that we were safe. And we really did need the break. It had been a while. There were signs of the times there. One was that despite the really, really big and dangerous surge that they're having there, almost nobody was wearing masks. And the place where we were visiting was not far over the state, over the border from Washington, where everybody's wearing masks. So that was a pretty stark difference in between the two areas. And I was sad to see that because I just simply felt they weren't protecting themselves and protecting each other. And I certainly hope for the best of health for the good folks of Idaho. Another thing that I learned that I wasn't really aware of that much before that was that there's no ammunition in any of the sporting goods stores, especially for handguns. All the ammunition has been sold. And I thought about that too as, an unfortunate sign of our times that people are feeling so endangered or that there's such a possibility that they'll need that ammunition that they've bought it all. And that is unfortunate. But I certainly want to talk about calm for tomorrow because I believe that we will rise to this occasion in every way. So what else do we expect on Election Day? Well, obviously, we're all expecting results, but they're unlikely to come tomorrow from what the pundits have to say. And while we may have an idea or even a good idea of what's happening with the overall, presidential election, and certainly maybe even more so with some of the key Senate and representative elections, we're unlikely to have the whole picture. So my friends and I really talked about that a lot. And while it will be interesting to watch tomorrow, I don't expect a result. And I'm going to try to counsel myself to be very, very patient in waiting for that result. Because certainly between the media, the current administration, current government, the challengers, many will try to position that there is a result, that, what we have is good enough and we don't need to hear any more. Especially, we don't need to count any more votes, which has become a major issue. But that is not going to be the case. We will count all the votes. All the votes will count, more importantly. And we won't really find out probably tomorrow. And I don't know that it's the first time that that's happened. Perhaps not quite as dramatically as what might occur tomorrow. But we will find out. And then we'll see what ensues. Some of the things that we've talked about on this show might come to pass. There will be lawsuits, and there will be, attempts to, undo some of the voting or make some of the voting not count. But we'll have to take that a step at a time. One thing that has been talked about a lot to a disturbing degree is the expectation that there could be violence tomorrow or thereafter. But just as I am so encouraged by watching the essential strength of the American people to overcome And that has shown itself in the tremendous voter turnout that we've seen for pre-election day voting. It's just incredible how many people have voted and how long they've stood in lines to vote and how steadfastly they have um, doggedly made that happen for themselves and their communities, and they have not been deterred by some of the obstacles that have been put in the way. And I just feel proud to be an American watching that happen, and I know we're going to watch it happen again tomorrow. You know, almost 100 million people have already voted. That is an amazing accomplishment. It's an amazing number, and it speaks to the passion of our people for having their voice be heard, how important they know this election is, whichever way they believe that it should go. And it's really an amazing thing to watch happen. Even when I wasn't watching it, I was hearing about it. So I hope that, and I know it will continue to happen tomorrow. We may get record turnout tomorrow as well. Although so many have voted already, it's hard to believe that we can top our previous numbers for turnout on election day itself. But, you know, certainly that represents challenges for the states because they've got, you know, perhaps a doubled effort to count all the votes once they can start counting, which, you know, varies from state to state, but they can't all start counting, you know, many of them can't start counting until the last vote's taken. So they've got this monumental task of not only counting all the votes that happen tomorrow, but all the, you know, tens of millions of votes that came in before that. So it's quite natural that it will take some extra time to count everything. But this is American democracy at work, and it's our way. It's our way of being heard. It's our way of trying to make sure everyone is heard. And one thing I just want to encourage everyone that might happen to listen to this program, despite the warnings that there could be violence, I believe that we will overcome that. I just think that the common sense of the American people, maybe with some spotty exceptions, will overcome that possibility. And while some of the, you know, more conspiratorial theories out there are more dire, I think that, as often happens, those things that are talked about are not going to come to pass. And I certainly hope that to be true. But regardless, be safe. I mean, you know, if folks with guns start waving them around, that's probably not a good place to be. So everybody will handle that the way they see fit. One thing that I hope that everyone will do is not be frightened or dismayed by the people that might come forward to really have that rhetoric of, oh, this is already decided. No more votes should be counted. Whoever's ahead right now should win. We have no idea who that might be. If someone's going to be ahead at one point but not at the end. And the dynamics of the voting this year, because so many are coming in by mail, so many are coming in in different ways than they normally do, that might be counted at different times. You know, you might have that dynamic that someone appears to be ahead at one point but is not ahead at the end. So I think that patience is the biggest thing that we need tomorrow. Patience. The media will try, as they always do, to project, well, here's the winner. But they've been wrong before. They were wrong in 2016, that's for sure. So I hope that some sense will rule there as well. Certainly, the media will report as accurately as they can, I'm sure, but their, you know, projections could be incorrect for the same factors that I've just been talking about. I have to say that more than ever, I love watching the American process at work with its flaws, you know, with its black eyes. It's amazing how differently things can turn out than you thought they might when the American people get together and put their mind to it. And in this case, what we put our mind to is voting whatever way we believe. And we're making that happen. after the election, I hope also that the common sense that I'm talking about right now also rises to the top, and that some of the things that we've discussed on the show and that could come to pass don't come to pass, that it's simply an orderly process. And